What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jen.
And today, we're going to get our Yoda on and be like, why or why not to take the last name?
Yoda said do or do not. There is no try.
It's close.
It's not close. It sounds like
bit?
a question from a test from high school. Like, in English class, on page 237, what color were the curtains? Why or why not? And it's like, I have to know why the curtains were yellow? What? That's some English class trauma.
That's why I was a, D or C student in English.
Yeah, anyway, fully unrelated.
We digress.
But so the question is, did I take Sean's last name? And if I did or didn't, why or why not? That's still not well said, but it's fine. We took so many takes on that, and I still can't do it right, but it's fine. I'll stick with that one. But yeah, the question is, did I take Sean's last name?
Did you?
Now, legally, I didn't. I could have, and still kept my persona.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I didn't.
Nope.
I really, really didn't. And we have lots of reasons why. And there's reasons why it's good. And there's reasons why, like, sometimes I kind of wish I did. It makes certain things easier.
Oh, yeah.
Paperwork stuff. People actually believing that I'm your wife. Stuff like that. It makes it a little bit easier. But there were so many factors that went into this decision. And I will go into them for you. And if you decided to take your significant other's last name, then that's awesome. Like, if you were willing to do all that, that's fantastic. I just wasn't. It wasn't a decision I wanted to make, and that's my little disclaimer, is that I'm not judging anyone who does or doesn't. I'm just explaining why I didn't.
Yes.
So anyway, the biggest reason is that it's a giant pain in the butt. It's a huge pain in the butt to change your name. I didn't change my name in my first marriage, and I didn't change my name in this marriage, because when I looked at what kind of paperwork goes into that, and then what kind of paperwork you need later on, I don't like paperwork. I hate paperwork. I will literally not do something if I have to do paperwork because of it. I always joke in my dance classes, I'm like, you can't get hurt in my class. I don't want to fill out all that paperwork. So it's so much of a hassle. You have to provide, like, birth certificate, social security number, do all this stuff by, like, a certain day after you get married, or, like, within a certain amount of time or something, and then it costs money. And then if I need to prove my identity later, I have to have my previous name proof and my new name proof and our marriage certificate, which honestly, I don't even know where that is right now.
I do.
Great.
But yeah, like, starting off, you have to change your social security card, so there's a whole process for that. Then you have to change your ID. Then you have to change your passport. Then you have to change your name with your employer.
Yeah.
You have to change your name with every bill, with everything that you're associated with.
And on Facebook.
And you gotta hope that Facebook approves it.
There's that too.
But there's so many things.
Much. And it wasn't worth it to me. I didn't want it bad enough to have to do all that. You know, it just wasn't worth the hassle for me. I know so many people that, like, would want to, that do want to, that did want to, and did, but I didn't have enough desire. And to be honest, we're not having kids. We have no plan to have kids, and we're old enough to definitely know that we're probably not going to have kids at this point. And we have a plan just in case something happens, like whose name, whatever. There was no reason to. Yeah. So mostly it's because it's a pain in the butt. Like, I just didn't want to do it.
It's so much work. It's so much work. But yeah. No, that makes sense to me. That it made complete sense when we talked about it. But I just feel like I don't see why it's so much work to change your name.
I mean, it's a legal thing. It's a lot of paperwork to do anything legal.
Because, like, I work at a bank, and, like, I have to help people change their names sometimes. And the amount of documentation that they have to send in, and the amount of proof, and the time it takes.
Yeah, that'll be a big no thanks from me. Like, I wish I had a flashing sign behind me that just could light up when I'm like, no thanks.
And then you got to worry about, like, let's say your ID's changed, but your debit card isn't. And then you go somewhere, and they're like, that's not the same person. So it's a lot.
I already have trouble with my first name because I use Jenne, Jenne, instead of what it actually is. So it's like, that even provides me some problems. So I wouldn't even begin to guess if my last name was also different. Another big reason for me, this is more of a personal reason, not it's just a pain person or pain reason. This is a personal reason.
Okay.
Words. They're not my friend today. You should have heard me when I was filming tutorials.
Nope.
I said the dumbest things. And it's fine. My family. My brother doesn't have kids. I don't have kids. And we're the last of the Vermeeses, to be honest. I just don't see giving that away. I would like to maintain the family name because I'm the last one. Well, my brother's older, so he's still, like, we're still both here, but, like, statistically speaking, he's older, so I would eventually be the last one. And I want to make sure that I didn't just give that away because tradition said that I needed to take your name.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I felt like it was a little disrespectful, especially since I lost my dad, like, within the last 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years?
Almost 6.
Almost, yeah. Going on 6. So I just felt like it was a little not what I wanted for me with that in mind, but I also think it wouldn't be what he would want. I just remember this episode of Star Trek. And it always comes down to Star Trek, y'all. I remember this episode of Star Trek. It actually wasn't an episode. It was the movie Star Trek Generations. And Picard suffered a loss at the beginning of the movie of the loss of his cousin and his son. Not Picard's son, his cousin's son. And he said, now there will be no more Picards. He was the last Picard. And I think that kind of stuck with me. You know? Also, again, I'm so sorry. If you hear meowing, T'Challa is absolutely nuts tonight. There's nothing we can do about it. If we closed the door, he would just barrel through it. So
just scratch at it.
Enjoy the meows. It's ambient, okay? It's just ambient noise. But anyway, I think that kind of stuck with me. And I didn't want to just give away the time that there could be a Vermees.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to me. And so when I expressed that, you were really cool with that, honestly. The other thing is that I am Jenne Vermees. I've always been Jenne Vermees, and I will always be Jenne Vermees. I've created an identity with this name. No one can pronounce it or spell it, but I've created an identity. And you know what? Alexa cannot pronounce it. I have tried to ask Alexa to play my songs so many times, and she has no idea what I'm saying. I have no idea how she pronounces my name. With its spelling being so weird, I have absolutely no idea how she pronounces my name. And so I can't get her to play my songs.
Yeah. You mentioned the song name, plays a different song name with that same title, and it's like, no.
Artist name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, stop.
I gotta name my song something no one else has so that I can hear her pronounce my name. If you know how to ask Alexa how to pronounce, like, a certain name, please tell me.
Yeah.
I even looked online to see if I could, like, click my name and if there was, like, a little speaker thing that said, oh, this is how it's pronounced, you know? I have no idea how she does it. So, anyway, but I've created this persona that it's, you know, it's on my YouTube page. It's on my, all of my media stuff for when I go teach places. It's on my Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. I am Jenne Vermees. I don't necessarily want to change all that. Yeah. And I don't see a reason to be Jen Mansfield when I'm in this situation and then go be Jenne Vermees. Like, I just don't see it, you know?
Yeah, it would be a lot to go through and change all the branding and everything. Just think, even if you did go through and, like, say you're like, all right, I'm going to change my name and have his last name, then going through each one of your posts that you've ever done and having to change the last name for each one.
But even if I decided to keep that and then just be Jen Mansfield when I'm not doing tap dance stuff or author stuff or art or any of the things that I do, music, if I decided to be Jen Mansfield just here or, like, paperwork wise, I don't think I would answer if somebody called me. Like, if I was waiting in line at the bank and they were like, Jen Mansfield, I'd be like, Jen Mansfield? Man, where's that girl? Like, they called her like twice. Oh, it's me! Like, I feel like I would do that. Because I always forget your last name's Mansfield. He's not even Sean Mansfield in my phone. He's Sean Running Mouth.
And it's funny is, like, we'll go places or, like, I'll talk to people that are, like, used to dealing with her. And they'll be like, oh, Mr. Vermees, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. Cool. That's me.
Yeah, because I'm usually the first person that they talk to, and then they just assume that I took his name, and so his name is Vermace, and I'm like, haha.
Yeah, and it's funny, growing up, I grew up with my mom and my stepdad, and places they'd know my name, and they'd be like, oh, they'd look at my stepdad and go, oh, Mr. Mansfield, and they're like, he's like, yup.
Yeah, but we'll get into that. We will get into that. But yeah, so it's just with this persona that I have, I just didn't see any reason to confuse myself and take on another name for legal purposes. What's the point? So we could put the Mansfields on our mailbox. We're not even planning on doing that. We're planning on having it say nerds.
Yeah. Now, it'd be one thing if we had a kid, then that'd be one thing, like you said, or if we had, like, if one of us, like, if you had a kid or I had a kid, then that'd be one thing. Like, if I had a kid before us, then you could change the last name so that way it
would help to assimilate me into the family.
Yeah, or like if you go to the school to go pick them up or whatever.
That would help a lot.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Yeah.
We have cats.
Yeah.
And they think his last name is Vermees. So, like, whatever. It just didn't seem worth it. And I think that's the big overarching concept of this video, is that it just didn't seem worth it, you know? So, speaking of worth it, this was a big reason for me. And I did this before in my first marriage. I also didn't take his last name for all the reasons I already listed. But having been through a marriage and a divorce, I can tell you right now that if stuff hits the fan and you need to get a divorce, it is so much easier if you did not take their name. Now, I'm not saying that I'm betting on us not working, and I'm not saying that I bet on me and him not working, and that's why I didn't take his name. It just ended up being a very convenient side plot of me not taking his name.
I gotcha.
Honestly.
I understand that. I know you said that it's not like you were planning on it not working out or anything, but like you said, when you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, going through all the paperwork, if you would have gone through all that to make that happen, and then once you guys got a divorce, then you'd had to go through and do all that, and then getting married again, that's so much paperwork, so much paperwork, so much money.
And we already talked about the fact that I am not a fan of paperwork, alright? So
yeah.
The hassle that it would have been to go from being this last name to my last name again, and then to your last name, like, I can't. And then, you know, sometimes you have to fill stuff out and it says, how many last names have you been known under? Please list them all. I'd be like, oh crap, I don't know. So it just ended up being a nice bonus that I didn't take his name. And again, I'm not betting on us failing, but in the event that something happened, or even in the event of just anything happening that I don't want to speak into existence, not having your last name would be pretty convenient for anything that would need to change.
Oh, yeah.
But just because I didn't take his last name doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that we're not married. It's just a name, y'all. What's in a name?
Yeah.
But then the next question that we get whenever we talk about this is how you feel.
Oh, how I feel
How do you feel?
How do I feel about the fact that you didn't take my last name?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Also, I'm going to poke the camera real quick.
It's terrible. Oh my gosh, my heart. No, I don't care. I couldn't, honestly, even if you would have taken my last name, I still would have referred to you as Jen Vermees because of all of your social media and all that stuff. Because I know the professional persona, I know all that. So I would have just been so used to calling you that, I wouldn't have changed. It was hard enough to refer to you as my wife.
I know, it's still weird. My husband,
You sure? Is that what the word is? But yeah, no, I
friends? Person.
Did I just
He's
get
my
friend
person.
zone?
Yes, you got friend zone.
But no, like, it didn't bother me in one bit. Like, there was no moment where you were like, hey, I don't plan on taking your last name, and me going, what?
You did have a moment, I remember, when we started talking about, well, what if we had a kid? And I said, I would want them to have my last name. You had a small moment where you were like, no, they should probably have mine, like yours. And then I kind of explained the last of the Vermeeses, the last of the Picards thing. And he was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And we're not going to have kids anyway, so it's a moot point. But you did have a moment there.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with me.
No.
It had nothing to do with us.
No, I was not offended. Was not hurt. I was nothing when you said, I don't want to change my name. I knew from your previous marriage that you didn't change your name, so I kind of expected it, because I think we've had this talk before.
We have. And That'll be the number one piece of advice we give in any of our videos. Talk. Communicate what you plan on doing, what you're uncomfortable doing, what you feel, what you want. Communicate these things so that, like, imagine the day after we get married and you're like, oh, so you're going to fill out the paperwork to change your name? And then I went, no, I'm not changing my name. And imagine if we hadn't had that conversation before we got married.
Right.
That'd be an awkward
Surprise.
Sunday. Such an awkward Sunday.
Yeah, no, it would have definitely been an awkward conversation at that point.
Yeah, so definitely talk about these things. But in general, he was very receptive to it, and it didn't really matter overall to you. The other question we get is, how does your family feel about it?
See, that actually bleeds over into how I feel about it. So, growing up, give you a quick timeline. My mom was married at 18, child at 19, divorced at 20, remarried at 21. She's been married to my dad, Bill, for however long that's been. God, I don't know, 30-some years. I don't know. But no, they've been together and they're happy together, you know. But growing up, I didn't even have the same last name as my mom and my dad. So...
Because you had your father's last name.
Yeah, I had my father's last name. So, growing up, I was in a household with a completely different last name. So it was like, okay. Now my family, whenever I was like, yeah, Jen's not taking the name, they said, okay.
It's not their name. It's literally, I wouldn't be taking their name. I would be taking your father's name, and he gives zero craps.
He doesn't care.
He does not care. So, like, overall, it doesn't matter to them, and for good reason. It doesn't matter to them. But, like, your father's just super cool, and was just like, whatever she wants. And I'm like, cool.
He's like, I don't blame her.
And then my family feels... They kind of agree with me about keeping Vermees because of the family legacy thing, and that I would be the last of the Vermeeses. And is that the plural, Vermeeses?
Vermeeses?
Sounds like I'm talking about plural mice, mices, or plural moose mices. But yeah, they're in agreement with me, but they would have completely respected it if I wanted to take his name. So both families are just kind of cool with it overall, and I'm glad because, again, the biggest reason, it's a pain in the butt, okay? Like, I don't want to do all that. And it's not just one time have to do all that. It's just consistent have to do all that. Every time you need a new passport. Every time you get a new job. Every time you have to apply for anything. No thanks. I'll just be me. How about we don't worry about last names and I'll just be Jen and you just be Sean?
Sounds good. I like it.
Cool. I did stumble over your name just now. I don't know why.
I'm that guy.
So yeah, hopefully this kind of gave you some insight into what that process is, or like whether or not you might want to one day, or whether or not you still enjoy the decision that you made. It's just wherever you are in your relationship. Hopefully this was helpful or at least reflective. And yeah, don't judge me. Yeah. This is a judge-free zone.
Leave a comment below. Let us know if you changed your name when you got together, or if you plan to, or if you're like Jen and like, nope, that's my name.
And some people change their name because they really want to. Maybe their last name starts with a Z and the person they're marrying starts with an A, and they want to be closer to the front of the line, if you know what I mean. Or, trust me, V was tough during high school.
Or maybe you just want to change your name to something completely different.
Or maybe you just want to change your name because your last name, you hate it. Like, I know some people hate their last name. So maybe your last name is like, I had a friend, her last name was, I can't even pronounce it, it's like Gerza Gurjevsky, but the three first letters were GRZ. And so, like, I'm sure she did change her name. She changed it to Gardner.
Nice.
What a great swap. I think that's great. I would have changed it too. Yeah. So there's lots of reasons to change your name, but there's also so many reasons not to. And my biggest thing right now is you do you. You do whatever works for you. But talk about it and make sure that you both understand each other. If you have a partner that is like hell-bent on you taking their name and they will not take no for an answer, honestly, I feel like that's a red flag if they won't even hear you out, if they won't have the conversation. So have that conversation before you do the married thing. Because that could really be a red flag. Like, you have to ask yourself, why does this person need me to have his last name? So, but if you want their last name, then it's a moot point. Whatever, doesn't matter. But have the conversation, talk about it, be honest with each other about how you feel. Like, if you really didn't like that I made that decision, I would hope that you were honest with me. So, but anyway, thanks for joining us today on my journey of it's a pain in the butt, and I don't wanna.
But we hope that this helped you guys out. If you have any other questions or topics that you want us to talk about in the future, leave a comment, message us on social media. We love to hear your comments and your ideas.
And let us know if you heard T'Challa screaming, because I want to know if you heard the meowing.
But yeah, thanks so much for watching and listening wherever you're listening or watching. If you are new around here, if you want to, make sure you hit that follow. Make sure you hit that subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button,
yes,
y'all.
And don't forget to hit those thumbs up, those 5 stars, whatever your rating is on that system. Hit that for us. Let us know that you care and that you had a blast with us. But thanks for hanging out. We look forward to talking to you guys again soon. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jen.
And we're out of here. Bye.
Camera is running out of battery in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We made it.
Happy New Year! Now it cuts off now.